Max Shardt is my name. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay? All right, thank you. Just want to back up before we get into specifics. Seems like you did two different types of tests in this case. You had one situation where you had a firearm and you were comparing the firearm with shell casings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now in your line of work, that test, that matchup, what's that called?
Firearms identification.
Firearms identification. Okay, and then it seems like also in a separate report, you had two, not shell casings now, not a firearm, but you had two bullets, correct?
Correct.
And you were trying to determine if those bullets were fired by the same gun, correct?
Correct.
Okay, what is that test called?
That's also firearms identification.
Okay, I didn't get very far with parsing those out if they had the same name. Okay. Let's talk about your work on February 3rd, which involved the shell casings and the gun, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, you receive 11 shell casings, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And those shell casings, what caliber of shell casings were those?
Those were 5.7 by 28 millimeter cartridge cases.
Okay. And that was in case number...
Would you like me to read it?
Do you have what I'm trying to figure out is, do you have a cross-reference number so we could compare this to actual incidents to know where those shell casings came from?
No, I do not. As far as on the scene where they were collected,
Yes.
I do not.
You received them from APD? Or from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
Yes, Fulton County DA.
Okay. And they gave those to you on January 17, 2023?
Correct.
All right. And there was 11 of them?
Yes.
Okay. And then you're also given a firearm, a 5.7 by 28 firearm, correct?
Yes.
FN.
Correct.
All right. And you're given those by the district attorney on December 15, 2022?
Correct.
Okay. And then additionally, you're given 19 unspent rounds.
Yes.
Okay. So your work on this case, you got 11 spent rounds that were collected. Your Honor, I think we have a stipulation.
Okay. Your Honor, we're going to stipulate that the shell casings referenced in her report come from the March 16, 2022 shooting at 2830 Waters Road.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Y'all
Ms.
write
Hill.
that up for me at some point, okay?
Okay. So based on that stipulation, you have 11 shell casings collected from 2830 Waters Road incident on March 16. Okay? You're saying, okay, wasn't part of that stipulation. Okay.
I don't know where they came from, where they
Fair
were
enough.
collected. Okay.
But they also provide you with the unfired cartridges, and you use those unfired cartridges that came with the gun to test fire the gun, correct?
Yes, I used 3 cartridges from the 19 that were unfired to test fire the firearm.
And then because you test fired using that FN 5.7 handgun, you now have the markings from that firearm, and you can compare them to the shell casings collected from 2830 Waters Road on March 16th of 2022.
What I can testify to
Okay.
is that I did create those test fires, so I had the data from the gun, and I compared them to the 11 cartridge cases submitted to me. But I wasn't there when they were collected, so just to clarify that part.
Understood. And you determined that the FN firearm, the 5.7, that you were given was the firearm, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, was the firearm that fired those shell casings that were collected and provided to you by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
Yes, it was the firearm that.
Okay, perfect. Now, the other work that you did on this case, and this is, I'm going to your other report.
Okay.
Okay, you were provided a, I'm referring to 389 VV and 390 VV. Do you have them up there with you?
I believe so. The 40 caliber report.
Yes, no, the exhibits. May I approach?
You may.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
390 and 389.
Okay, this is 389 and 390 VV.
Yes.
Okay. In this report, when you had two bullets and you were trying to determine if they were fired by the same gun, right?
Correct.
Okay. Even though this was provided by the ME's office, correct? Fulton County ME's office?
Yes.
Okay. And the ME is the people that perform autopsies.
Right, the medical examiners.
Okay. Do you have any notes or knowledge of are there one or two projectiles in this package?
There's only one. The other one contained fibrous material.
Okay, so you got a projectile and fibrous material in here. And do you know where these came from, other than the ME's office?
I know they're from which victim it's from.
What's that?
Chamel Drinks.
Jamal Drinks, okay. And then here is another projectile with victim Chamel Drinks. Correct?
Yes. On the same report. That was the victim listed on the report.
Okay. And so what you were tasked with, you were given something from the ME's office, a projectile from the ME's, collected by the ME's office and given to you, and then a projectile provided by the Atlanta Police Department.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And you were tasked with determining if those two projectiles were fired with the same gun.
Correct.
Okay. And now those two projectiles, and when I say projectiles, we're talking about no longer in its casing. They've been fired. They're not in the shell cases anymore, and they may or may not have hit someone. Is that fair to say?
Right. It's the part that has traveled down the barrel of the firearm.
Okay. Those two projectiles that you were comparing to each other, isn't it true that they were both 40 caliber bullets?
Yes.
Okay. And then you were asked to compare them, and you determined that those two fully 40 caliber bullets were shot by the same handgun.
Yes.
And that handgun was consistent. Your report says consistent with being shot by a Glock 40 handgun.
Correct.
Okay, and how do you make the determination about specifically, just from those little pieces of metal, that they were fired by a Glock 40?
So there's different manufacturers will rifle the insides of barrels differently. And what I mean by rifling is that manufacturers will put a series of lands and grooves on the inside of the barrel to make the bullet spin. And the reason to do that is to make it more accurate and to make it travel further. Well, different manufacturers will do different things. Sometimes they'll have 6 lands and grooves going to the left. Sometimes they'll have 8 lands and grooves going to the right. Sometimes you can tell that the tool was different that they used to rifle them. So all of this data is measurable, and we can enter it into a database maintained by the Association of Firearms and Tool Marks Examiners. That database has also been maintained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation as well. So once we enter the data into the database, it will return to us the list of firearms rifled in that way. These in particular were consistent with Glock in the way that Glock rifles their firearms, the type of tool that they use, the way that the lands and grooves are, the number of them, and the direction that they're twisting as well.
Your Honor, I think we have another stipulation,
All
in
right.
fact, to try to ease this along.
Appreciate it.
I think both sides stipulate that the 240 caliber bullets were, one was collected by the ME during the autopsy of Shamal Drinks, and one was collected from the Red Versa by APD. That Red Versa driven by Shamal Drinks.
Thank you.
Okay, so those 240s based on 240 caliber bullets based on your work on this case, fired by a Glock 40.
Yes.
Okay, now going back to 221 VV, the handgun in front of you.
Okay.
That was, okay, that FN 5.7 by 28. Can that gun shoot 40 caliber bullets?
No.
How about a 45 FN 45 caliber handgun? Could that shoot 40 caliber bullets?
The diameter is larger, however, the head spacing would likely not work correctly.
And it would also leave different lands and grooves.
Yes.
than a Glock 40
It would
caliber
leave
handgun.
different lands and grooves than a Glock 40 caliber handgun.
Thank you so much.
Anything, Mr. Weinstein? Redirect. All right, thank you for your time. You may step down. Do you have another witness that's going to allow? Okay.
Yo, let me know. So they just brought in what? What just happened? Should Stillwell be worried, or y'all think he's safe? Like, what happened, y'all? They planted that, or what you think, y'all? He's safe? Okay. So what they doing? Why they present that evidence like it was official, though?